summer months.
What did you guys do?
Well, we continued doing present patrols and building up this patrol base. What we had this idea is our patrol base was a mile or two from our fob, and by going to this patrol base, we could work in our area of operations a lot easier.
What was the area just far out in terms of city, or I mean?
It was literally on the edge of Aberdeenshire, which is a district southeast Baghdad, and the farmlands, it was split half city and farmlands. Majority was suburban canals. It was right outside the Tigris River, so it was very vegetated. You can picture palm groves, high vegetation, high canals, high grass. It almost looked more like Vietnam than a Middle Eastern country where we were at. So there was definitely a lot of canals and farmlands where they used irrigation to farm. That was more or less what they did in that area. So the terrain was tough to keep going up and down and through a canal and try to cross this. So that was kind of our area of operations environment. It was kind of split.
So you're building up the patrol base. The idea being that you'll be able to operate with ease because you're closer to what you're working on. I mean,
absolutely. I think that was one of the commander's idea. We had every company or troop in the scout world. We had a patrol base for 3 different troops. One was here in the AO, there in the AO, and there in the AO. And it was like a big triangle, and they covered a large area. And I tell you right now, we did not have the manpower for the area that we were given.
You were moving in platoon-sized elements, or staying in these patrol bases in platoon-sized elements?
Correct. We would do rotations. Each troop would do a rotation. It would be 1 platoon at a patrol base for about a week. Come back in, another platoon would come in.
Back in?
Into the FOB.
Okay.
And the platoons that were in the FOB and not in patrol base would do operations out of the FOB. The patrol base, we usually have to pull security at the patrol base and do minor missions that were more locally because we didn't have the manpower. But we were more or less moving in platoon-sized elements.
Your preference to being on the FOB or at the patrol base?
No question in my mind, the FOB, without a doubt. I mean,
Why?
You had all the, we had a building where we were staying, which was huge. We had MWR, which is a great resource for soldiers to get downtime and relax. We had a fitness facility that was built where we could cool off, which a lot of soldiers used to cool off. And we had hot food. So it was definitely.
What do you guys do in their free time? I mean, MWR. I mean, video games, music.
In the actual building we stayed at, we had a couple Guitar Heroes sent to us, a couple Wii's sent to us, and we did that a little bit. I think using the fitness facility was huge relief. We actually had basketball courts built, but we couldn't use them because they were zeroed in with indirect all the time, so we couldn't even go near them, which is more in rocket fire. And then the MWR, where you can watch TV, watch movies. I think went through every TV series possible. Sitting over there, so just things like that. Go on the internet, you get internet access, which was nice on the FOB. So
phone.
We did have phone centers, but good luck with that. They did, which very upset me at times. They would make you pay for phone cards, which were an arm and a leg, just to use a phone. That 9, 10 out of times would get cut off, and you would waste all your minutes. So it was really hard to use phone service there. And then when we got hit with a lot of indirect, they would close the phone centers down. So that was always a pain. But we actually started finding ways to use it through our computers to make phone calls, which made it a little easier too. So we did that as much as we can, but I can only recall using a phone, maybe once a week, if that.
From October to January, could you feel a difference in your mission? How are you gauging success? I mean, where were you?
Well, the first couple months, it was hard to really get a sense of what our objective was. It was always changing. Every time we would do something else would come up. We were doing a lot of patrolling, and that was getting familiar with our AO. We didn't get more or less into HVT, snatch and grab, as we called it, going after individual targets that would come down.
HVT is a high-value target, is
correct,
that right? Okay.
Correct. You would get the acknowledgement down, usually from an S2 shop, its intelligence, and say, here's the deck of cards, these are the guys you want to grab. They didn't come until a little later, but
when? January time frame, February? I mean,
yeah, they didn't come until early 2007 when we got a little more comfortable with the AO. I think figuring out the AO was a challenge because we'd visit one end and wouldn't visit that end for a month or two later because it was too big. We didn't have the manpower. So we did our best to take the Iraqi armies with us on patrolling, but that didn't really work out so well 9, 10 of the times.
Story to highlight that?
Well, they didn't have the personnel or right training to really do things on their own. They would kind of follow with us.
Specific example, like do you have an experience, like or a typical example maybe would be better.
Well, we would take them, with us here and there, and there would only be a handful of them, and they didn't have the training we did, so they were kind of like the odd ones out. We could do so much because there is a language barrier there.
Any interpreter at all?
We did have interpreters. That was always a challenge, which helped out a little bit though. But they didn't have any resources with us. When we would take contact, they really didn't know what to do. And you're screaming at them, telling them to do things. They're kind of looking at you like a deer in the headlights, So that was a challenge, really working with them, at that Iraqi Army checkpoint personnel. So that was a challenge, going with them, which we did not do a lot because it was just too difficult. We did more things on our own.
Yeah.
So during that time frame, the winter months, it actually calmed down. It did get colder, and I understand that this insurgency did not do as much in the cold and the dark because they knew what we had as an advantage, and they knew that they could strike when it got hot out. So it wasn't as bad. We were still getting hit with a bunch of IEDs. It just did not kick off as much until the springtime. But for most of the winter time, we were just doing a lot of patrolling, a lot of figuring out where everything is, and that's pretty much what it came down. Presence patrolling and try to gain that connection with the town, our area. So
you're in the spring of 2007 at this point. Could you feel the presence of the surge? Were you cognizant of what was going on?
Absolutely. They came in, and we had a little bit more help in our AO, a little piece of the pile. The chunk, I mean, you think of, the areas over there, you're just one small piece of the pie. And that's what your objective is, that piece of the pie, and that's it. So we didn't have the people, we didn't have the manpower. The surge came in, 3rd Infantry Division came in, they took a part of that pie, which helped out a lot. So the assets, attack aviation, which is aviation support for missions, became more frequent because as these units came in, they brought these assets with them that we could have used for a long time there.
Aviation support?
Aviation support, we had the H-64s, the Apache helicopters, the Kiowa Warriors that came out pretty much on every patrol with us, which was huge because they knew when there was attack aviation flying, they would less likely attack us. We had that advantage. But as before that all set into place, as it got warmer, they definitely took advantage of the heat because when you have 4 armored plates on, ammo, water to last you all day, it takes a toll. It takes a toll, and you're not as mobile.
Any heat casualties in your unit?
A lot of heat casualties. That was a problem towards the spring and summer months when it was way pushing over 100 degrees, and you're dismounting 240s and things like that, and you're carrying them all day, which is a heavy machine gun. It starts to take everything out of you, and you're sweating all your salts out, and you're experiencing that heat, and even when it's 100 degrees here, you're in t-shirt, shorts, what have you. You're wearing boots, your long pants, your top, then your body armor adds more body heat, everything on top of that, and then you have a helmet, which is keeping that heat in as well. So heat casualties definitely happen, and definitely spring and summer months we do a lot of not me personally. I never really had a big problem with that. I try to stay hydrated as much as possible, take as much salting, electrolytes, Gatorade all the time. But some individuals, their body just adjusts differently. So
were you guys able to, in terms of stepping back from the actual war where you're at, whether it's CNN or Stars and Stripes, I mean, did you have a sense of the coverage of the war that was going on while you were in theater? And if so, I mean, what was your opinion of it? Or
Well, we didn't have a lot of chance to see